Is it possible for you to give me screen sharing rights, please? So I can share my screen.
Okay, sir, I'm doing so. Yeah.
I'm still not able to share my screen.
No, his screen, not ours, his screen. Yes. Please, energy, don't work on this from my end.
I'm still not able to share my screen. You might need to make me host or something.
I'm working on it from my end.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
So we have an hour, don't we?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you're recording this. So this is about.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are joining us, yes, please. We are at about to begin our energy to kindly mute yourself for now, and after the presentation, you unmute yourself for questioning, so that we can have a smooth presentation by our speaker, Timothy. Timothy, the floor is yours this evening.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for inviting me along to your session. I'm just going to move your photos to be below my camera, so I'm looking at you rather than looking over there. So thank you for joining in and inviting me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through my view of the world of what social selling is. We as a business has now been running for something like 7 years, and I'm the author of the book Social Selling Techniques to Influence Buyers and Change Makers, and also the author of the book Marketing: How to Achieve Competitive Advantage Through Blended Sales and Marketing. If you've got any questions, please, I'll take questions at the end, and there will be time for questions. You can, if you've got something burning to ask, please put it in the chat and I'll pick them up at the end. Otherwise I'll take your your voice giving the anything that you don't want to raise during this presentation, then please come and visit me on LinkedIn or on Twitter. I'm Timothy Hughes on or Tim Hughes on LinkedIn, and you should be able to find me there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through some research, so the data, so not my opinion, but the data on the way that the world works and the world has changed. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our case studies about how they're seeing social media and using social as a way to sell. And then I'm going to walk through some examples. Yeah, and if it's possible, if you could put yourself on mute, that would be really helpful. There's lots of people listening, and it would just help in everybody else concentrate. So we talk to a lot of organizations that seem to be having meetings like this, which is that they're looking for answers around sales and marketing, but what's happened is that the world has moved on. And what's happened is that we've looked at sales and marketing from the techniques that were used probably 30, 40 years ago, and 30, 40 years ago, and what we're still doing is that we're still applying them today. So what did we do 30, 40 years ago? Well, what we did was that we did something called interrupt marketing, which is where I interrupt you and then I pitch you what I'm doing. So classic example of that is cold calling or email marketing, which in both cases, which is what I do is I interrupt you and I then pitch. There's actually a psychological condition that we have, which is called persuasion reactance, which is that whenever I actually tell you to do something, you rebel against it. And so one of the big problems with interrupt marketing is that if I tell you to buy something, you actually won't do it because you react against it. The other thing is that we've actually moved on as buyers. The way that we buy things is very, very different. And this was starting before COVID hit. And now what's happened since COVID is hit is that the way that we buy is completely changed. The buyer is mainly sitting at home, they're working from home. And we're not able to go into offices and have meetings like we've done in the past. And while some of that is, there may be some of that coming back, it's not going back all the way, or it certainly isn't in the UK and certainly isn't in the US and in Europe. So what we have is this situation where we're not going back to the way it was in 2019, and we have to find ways of actually selling virtually and selling in a way that uses the internet and social media. So I wrote the book Social Selling, Techniques to Influence Buyers and Change Makers, but there's lots of different words and phrases around out there which actually mean the same thing. So digital selling, virtual selling, remote selling, or modern selling. And we see all those things actually being the same. There are some cold calling gurus who see virtual selling basically as cold calling virtually, but they don't have any other solutions than just cold calling. So anyway, so what do we say that social selling is? Social selling is using your presence and behavior on social media to build influence, make connections, grow relationships and trust, which lead to conversations and commercial interaction. So the best way to describe this is, if I could drive past your house tomorrow and pick you up and take you to a room which was full of your prospects and customers, would you want to go? I'm guessing the answer is yes. And you could stay there all day. All you have to do is have a conversation with them. And this is what social media is about. Social media is about conversations. The best way to describe it, it's like a networking event. So if you go to a networking event and walk up to me and say, hi, Tim, I actually sell these things and we've got 30% off. What I'll do is I'll go, oh, that's really interesting. Oh, look, my cup's nearly empty. I need to go and get some tea. And I walk away from you. That's my persuasion reactance coming in, which is nobody likes being sold to, and nobody likes being sold to on social media. As soon as you start selling on social media, actually you become a pest, and actually you make yourself look very foolish. Now, I know it's called social selling, and unfortunately that's the name we have it, but it's not selling on social. What it is, it's about getting conversations. And I'm going to walk you through today how you can actually do that and make a big change and a difference. And what we're doing is that we are transforming sales and marketing in the way that it's worked or has worked over the last 40 years. So one of the things that we also do in our organization is that we help people with social right across the whole of their company. So we do social procurement, social human resources, we do social marketing. And the reason for that is that social media is actually a transformational platform to actually empower all your people to be digital. One of the companies that we've worked with is Telstra Purple, and one of the, we helped them come up with a strategy for their business. And what they did was that they came up with a mission statement, which is a social organization, so one that uses social media strategically within the business, sees social as a platform for closing the distance between clients, prospects, remote employees, and potential recruits. And while we're going to be talking about sales today, actually social impacts the whole of the enterprise. So for example, our clients aren't really impacted by the Great Resignation. And the reason for that is that the people there are actually far more empowered. They're actually not having to pay for recruitment consultants and recruitment ads because they're seen out on social. People are going, that's the place I want to work. And they walk towards them. The same as I'm going to show you that things that have taken place and changed in sales and marketing. So that customers will actually walk towards you rather than actually walking away from you or running away from you, as most of us do. So as I say, social can be used across the whole of the organization, but we're just going to be talking about sales. One of my clients, Namos, they're now 200 people, consulting company in the UK. They're an Oracle reseller, and they recently did a $2.6 million deal purely by being good on social. So what we do is that we teach people three things, and I'm going to walk you through this. How to have a great profile, so people go, you look interesting. How to grow your network, because you need to be connected to the people that ultimately you want to influence or have commercial interactions with. And three, you need to have content, which is your way of actually A, showing that you're the expert and that you can help people, and B is your way of actually forming conversations. And what happened was that a customer actually saw the salesperson from Namos and said, you look interesting, and actually approached them and said, you look interesting, can you help me? There was then the normal sort of sales conversation that would take place, but that turned into a $2.6 million deal. They've also just taken another $1 million out of that company. I was talking to the CEO just this week. And this is the transformation that we're seeing from traditional sales, which is, don't come near me, salesperson, because I dislike you and I don't trust you and I don't want to have a conversation with you, to actually saying, you look really interesting, can you help me? So let's go into, let's look at some of the things that you could also be doing from a social perspective. So Telstra Purple had 5 measures when they were doing their transformation. The first and foremost was about visibility, and most marketing departments will say social is about visibility. The thing is that research shows that people come to social to have conversations. They don't come to social to read brochures and brochureware. In fact, there was some research that came out this week from Demand Tech, which shows that now 60%, 62% of buyers engage with at least 7 pieces of content before they contact a salesperson. And buyers generally spend 30 minutes reading that content. Now, the thing is they're not reading brochures and brochureware. What they're doing is that they're looking for insight. They're looking for things that's going to help them. Just think about it. If you're the finance director of a business, what are you going to do? You're not going to look for a brochure, because a brochure says the same thing as everybody else. Buy my product because it's great. You don't believe it. The same with the website. The website says the thing as everybody else. Buy my product because it's great. What you're looking for is insight. As a CFO, CEO, or any person within an organization, you've got business issues. You know what they are. How can they be solved? And you're looking for people that are going to tell you or show you how you're going to do that. So that's also how people can get trusted advisor status. So we have, Namos is a great example where Namos was approached by somebody, by a prospect, and they saw them as a trusted advisor. They didn't actually contact any of the competition. They didn't need to, because they saw that that person was an expert out on social media. And I actually have done research of the competition, and all the competition don't look like experts on social media. So immediately, Namos have a competitive advantage in the Oracle marketplace. The other thing that you're able to do is actually recruit and retain the best talent. As I said earlier on, Cambridge Technology, one of our clients, they do, they're a German company, and they do screens and things like that. The next 4 salespeople that they are going to recruit, they're not going to recruit using recruitment consultants or ads. Their presence on social will actually enable them to bring people in. The same with Ring Central. When the sales leader there was actually looking to recruit people, he put out a blog and he got 40 responses. And he was able to go through those. The money that he saved on the recruitment fees, he actually took on a junior salesperson for the budget. So he actually got 4.5 salespeople instead of 4. Also, social enables us to have a employee engagement and a shared sense of purpose. Something certainly here in the UK and the US and Europe, having been through COVID and sitting at home, what we're able to do is actually work and be far more social in the way that we're working and getting people to interact. Most people now, certainly under the age of 40 years old, expect to come into to work and use social in some shape or form, and are expect to share things as well, share knowledge, share data, share ideas. In this report that I talked about, the Demand Tech report, they actually said that now buyers are looking for content that they can actually share as well. So 48% of buyers are looking for content that they're going to share. Now, no one's going to take a brochure and share it internally, because everyone's just going to laugh at them. What they're looking to say, hey, look at this piece of content. This has got some real insight here. You know, we've got this business issue. This seems to really grab, and these people really understand what this is about. And so we do this as we're as a social selling company. All we do is social sell. We never advertise. We never cold call. We never send any emails. We deleted our email database back in 2018 because of the fact that we needed to comply with GDPR. And all we do is social, and we use content. And I'm going to show you in a bit how we use content as a way to actually get business and get leads. So we put out a piece of content, that piece of content, we actually got the CEO calling us on the Monday. We pitched to them on the Tuesday. We have a presentation, which is, funnily enough, just like this. And on the Friday, we presented to the board, and on the next Monday, we got the PO. Luckily, they were a small organization that they were able to move fast. But the thing is that what they're doing is that they've already done a lot of their work externally on social media. And of course, social is a way of getting pipeline growth and new logos, as in new business. So most people watching this probably are already saying, yes, Tim, we already do social. You know, we put out a post every 2 weeks, marketing do it. they send out an email, and what we're told to do is basically like it. And I can guarantee you that's probably generating absolutely zero for you right now. It's a cost to your business, not a profit. And the reason for that is that no one's listening and no one's interested. First and foremost, it's probably brochures or brochureware. And in fact, what you're probably doing is actually training the algorithm to ignore you and training your customers to ignore you. And the other thing is that what will happen right now is your network will be your current employees, your ex-employees, and recruitment consultants. So you're basically living in an echo chamber. So the people that you're trying to influence, you're not reaching. So I wouldn't say that was a waste of time, but it's close. And what we do is that we help organizations use social media strategically. What do I mean strategically? You should be in a position where, in effect, every single key press that you're pressing on your keypad can be attributed to revenue within your business. So as a business, likes and shares are kind of interesting, and I'm going to show you how you can harvest that to get leads and meetings. But really, there needs to be a connection between social media and revenue within your business. And you as a business should understand now and should be going to the board and saying, we know that we get this percentage of our revenue from social media, and you're able to track that. Because everything that you do on social media, you can actually measure. So in the past, what we did is we generally used the CRM as the view of whether deals were going to be done. Now we can actually do it pre-CRM and actually have measurements and understand that and take it to the board, and we know which salespeople are contributing and which salespeople are not contributing. So let's look at some of the data. So there's a guy in Singapore called Simon Kemp, who's well worth following on LinkedIn. He produces this data every year, and now he's actually producing it both globally and per country. He's really worth checking out. So We Are Social and Hootsuite pay for it, but Simon Kemp is the person that actually creates it. So there are now 63%, so 5 billion people on the internet. And of that, 58.7% of the people are active social media users. So what's an active social media user? An active social media user, on average, is using social media for 2.5 hours a day. And what happens in this data pack is it talks about the fact that people are going on and looking for products and services and looking for answers on social media. And now social media is, while people are going to Google, generally Google tends to be used for more answering more lifestyle things like, I've got a spot on my face, what do I do? Whereas people are going to social media to ask questions which are generally more business related, which we want. Those are the things that that's the goodness that we're after. Also, Gartner say that the buyers now are 60% of the way through the buying process before they contact a salesperson. Now, I've also got research that says that's 70 or 80% from that research is from SAP. But we all know that if we want to buy something, the first thing that we do is we pick up our phone and we search. The same as if I said to you, the iPhone is the best phone in the world, you'd immediately pick up your Google phone or something and you would be able to search and say, Tim, that's really interesting, but I've found 10 articles on the internet that say the iPhone isn't the best phone in the world. And this is the thing that we all have and are empowered to go on the internet and search. So if I basically if I cold call you, if I send you an email, or I basically place an advert, all of those things basically will trigger you to go and do a search online to my competitors. So if I'm cold calling, emailing, or using advertising, what I'm doing is I'm driving business to my competitors. The other thing that's made a big impact is the fact that buyer teams have got bigger. So if what this graph shows is that if the buyer team is one person, then the likelihood that that deal will happen is 81%. If the buyer team is 6 or plus, the likelihood that that deal will take place is actually only 31%. And the reason for that is that what happens in business is that people will sit in a meeting and they'll say, right, we have this business problem, how do we solve it? And they all go out of the meeting, they all go onto the internet and start searching for the answer to that problem. And they all come back with different answers. Some of those answers can be contradictory, which is why people are looking for, which is why the number I said, 49% of people are looking for content that they can share internally, because actually what they want to do is synchronize those decisions. Nobody likes going into a situation where a decision isn't going to be made because the problem isn't going to be solved. But right now in B2B, the biggest competitor you have is no decision. And we actually are working with a supply chain software company, and they tell me that for every deal that they do, there's 100 stakeholders. That's 100 people they have to get around. Now, you could cold call them or send them emails, which, you know, the fact that cold calling people and sending them emails pisses people off, starting a relationship by pissing people off isn't really a great way to do it. What you need to do is actually have a conversation. Because when it comes to them having a meeting, and all those people get together and they say, okay, which solution we're going to have, and there's a vote, what you want is it to be your solution. And the best way to do that is by being insightful, educational, and starting a conversation. Because what will happen is that they'll get to that meeting and they go, do you know, I think we'll go for the DLA Ignite, because that Tim Hughes, he seems to know what he's talking about, and I really think I could trust him. What do you think? Oh yeah, I love his stuff. He posts these things and it's really interesting. He obviously knows what we're looking for is that type of conversation. So, and of course, what's happened is that COVID hit and it's thrown everything up in the air. And while the pendulum has swung so far and the pendulum is going to swing back, and I know people are going to conferences, but the view and exhibitions, but the view still is that the conferences and exhibitions don't work. You know, if you look at the data, you know, cold calling has a 99% failure rate. Email marketing has a 98% failure rate, and that email marketing figure is from HubSpot, who sell email marketing systems and basically covers the whole of their 120,000 customers. That data is on their website. If you're interested, I can send it to you. I use it quite a lot in my articles. So we're in this situation where we know that all of the things, all of the classic things that we've done in sales and marketing don't work anymore. So what are we going to do, and what can we do different? So first and foremost is everything has changed. So don't know if you guys get Top Gear in Nigeria. I guess it's a worldwide TV program. The thing is about Top Gear is that we remember James May, or we remember the Stig, or Richard Hammond. What we don't do is we don't remember the car. So we don't remember that they were driving a Lamborghini in the Atacama. All we do is that remember that James May got a puncture. So as you can't speak, I usually ask the question, does anybody know who this is? Just in case, this is Supercar Blondie. She's an Australian who lives in Dubai. And her name is Alex, and she's the most influential person in the world to do with cars. She has 65 million people, followers on social media across her different channels. So if you're the CEO of BMW, you ring Alex up and you ship the car out to Dubai for her to drive. And this is what we've seen. We've seen this manifestation where things of the world has changed, and great, you follow her, fantastic. What we've seen is this big change that's taken place. So if we think about products like Nike. Nike is a brand that we all know, probably even own some of their shoes. But even Nike, who's one of the best world-known brands, if they want to sell tennis equipment, they ask Serena Williams to do it. If they want to sell basketball equipment, they ask LeBron James to do it. If they want to sell football or soccer equipment, they get Cristiano Ronaldo to do it. And the reason for that is that personality beats brand every day. When I come to social media, the relationship you have is with me. You're building that relationship. If I move jobs, the relationship moves with me. The relationship isn't with the company. And this is the big mistake that everybody, that pretty much all companies make, is that they think that it's all to do with their brand. Yes, you know, Nike, Levi, some of IBM have certain attributes around that brand. But why is it that everybody in my business can get more engagement than IBM does? That's not because we're cleverer than the people in IBM. I actually believe that the people in IBM are cleverer than us. They certainly got more PhDs and MBAs than us. But it's the way that they go about their things. They think that the brand is more important. It's not. It's about your people. And empowering your people and giving them the skills in the digital world is the most important thing. So imagine you've got to go to the airport, and you've got two modes of transport. Which would you choose, number one or number two? Everybody goes for number two. I can guarantee it. It's a prototype. It doesn't have an engine. Now, the thing is that everybody jumps to conclusions. What we do is that we take a little bit of information and we extrapolate it out. So immediately we saw a car, we assumed it would be the thing that would get us to the airport quick enough, but it's not. And the thing is that what we're doing right now on social media is that we're looking at your passive social presence. So your LinkedIn profile, maybe your Twitter profile, your Instagram, and we're looking at your active social behaviors. So what you're posting, and we're jumping to a conclusion about what you're like. So if you come to my social media profiles, if you hadn't seen me, you may have thought I was boring. You may have thought that this wouldn't be an interesting presentation. You may still think that. But the thing is that what we're doing is that there's 800 million people on LinkedIn. In effect, it's like a big shopping mall. And what we're doing is that we're walking past your LinkedIn profile is your shop window to the world. It's not the company's, it's yours. And what you want to do is get someone to go, that looks interesting. I'm going to take a further look. And then someone will come and actually look at you. If you have the professional edition of LinkedIn, LinkedIn tells you who's looked at your profile. You're then in control of the conversation. You can have a conversation with that person. But the key thing is to get that person there in the first place. Now, you'll only do that if you look interesting and the person is curious about you. If you're posting brochures and saying, hey, buy my product because it's great, everybody's saying that and nobody's interested. So this is a great example. On the left-hand side, we have somebody, I don't know who it is, but it doesn't really say much. Their LinkedIn profile says very little about them. Whereas on the right-hand side, we have Catherine Cole. Catherine Cole has a keyword optimized LinkedIn profile. And one of the things is that Google loves LinkedIn because it's full of content. So you've got all these buyers going out there and basically asking questions on Google. And what Google does is it comes back with the answer that it thinks is the most applicable. The more people that you can have to have keyword optimized LinkedIn profiles in your company, the more likely you're going to be the answer to that, to answer that question. The other thing about her LinkedIn profile is that it's not a CV. If it's a CV, you're looking for a job. That's the only conclusion I can jump to. It's not a list of responsibilities, or it's a story. It's a story about her life. Starts from her first job all the way through to her current position. And what it does is it pulls the person in. We know from research that people are spending 30 minutes looking and reading content. Wouldn't you want them to spend that 30 minutes looking at you and your company's LinkedIn profiles and saying, this is the company for me, or this is the person for me? The other thing is that what she's done is that she's used a number of psychological techniques to actually pull the people in. Now, what happens is that at the top of your LinkedIn profile is your summary title. It's the most visible thing about you on the internet. If you Google your name, if you Google your name, what you'll see is your photo, your name, and that summary title. Your job is not to try and sell to somebody at that point. That your job is actually to get a conversation. If you're in B2B like me, you cannot sell anything without a conversation. You will not sell anything off your LinkedIn profile or your summary title. You need a conversation. So your job is to get that conversation. So if you look at my LinkedIn profile, you'll see what my summary title is. And you probably won't have seen a summary title like that. But what you'll find is that what it does is it gets me conversations, which is what I want, because that's what I want to do to sell stuff. So classic people, classically what people do is that, or what LinkedIn does as a standard, is that it takes your job title and it puts that as your summary title. Unfortunately, it's desperately dull and boring and nobody's interested. So there are 6.6 million sales managers out there, and there are 7 million CEOs out there. All of them look exactly the same. Nobody's going to go, oh, that looks interesting, because it's a sales manager. You're just going to try and sell me shit. I'm not interested. And some people try and think that they can be original by calling themselves a thought leader. There's 113,000 of them. And this is the thing, what you're trying to do with your summary title is about, you're trying to elicit that as a way of getting a conversation. The next thing about, there's a psychological condition called Gestalt thinking. What Gestalt thinking is the brain forms patterns. What we do is that we see things and immediately we form the patterns. So for example, what you see is a blue circle, and immediately, because we form them into a square, you see the square. Now, if you present yourself as somebody different, a zebra or a zebra if you're from the US, immediately what you've done is that you've changed your win rate from 1 in 16 to 1 in 2. And the thing is that this is what LinkedIn looks like to a buyer. Everybody looks exactly the same. You know, all of those 6 million sales managers, that's 6 million, just a big lump of people, all looking exactly the same. And in fact, there seems to be a race to the bottom in terms of trying to look exactly the same as everybody else, trying to look, using the same job titles, using the same descriptions, using the same colors, because people seem to be scared of standing out. But actually, standing out is what buyers are looking for. They're looking for something different. They're looking to engage. So this is a client of ours. This is Cyberhawk. This is the C-suite of Cyberhawk. They're a drones company. What they do is that they do inspection drones. So on oil rigs, electricity pylons. And this is the CRO, the CEO, the CMO, and the COO. All of them look like people that you could walk up to and have a conversation. So let's put that in perspective. In the analog world, when we went to a conference or an exhibition, what we would do is that we would walk into an exhibition and we might walk up to a stand, and what we would expect is for someone to go, hey, how you doing? They might not put out their hand and shake a hand and say, yeah, is there something you're looking for? Can we help you? You might even get senior people having those conversations. But the way that's not the way that businesses are doing that on the internet and on social media. The way that businesses seem to be acting is that as I walk towards the company, some salesperson comes and smacks me in the face with a brochure. And then another salesman smacks me in the face with a brochure. Another salesman smacks me in the face with the brochure. And another salesman smacks me in the face with the brochure. And all I do is take all the brochures, put them in the bin and go to the competition, because the competition is only one click away. What we're looking for is a business on digital that understands the modern buyer and understands how to work. And this is what Cyberhawk are doing. It's interesting that the CEO actually sees himself, he says that he has two businesses. One is that he's a drones company, and the other is that he's a media company, because he knows that media and content is the thing that's getting him business. So give you an example, when they employed us, they were getting, round about 5 SQLs. The target was about 5 sales qualified leads a week. When they started working with us, they were getting around about 10. They're now getting somewhere around top teens, so 17, 18 a week. And they're getting into organizations that they never thought they could get into, big organizations that normally you just can't reach. And their VC has actually told them that they're going to IPO faster and at a higher rate because of the way that they're using social as a way to transform the business. So we see that now as a starting line for business. That is the way that buyers expect you to behave. But the problem is you all look and sound the same. So I talked about your profile and the importance of your profile in your summary title. I'm now going to talk about network and the importance of network for you. So currently, just to repeat what I said before, your network will be existing employees, ex-colleagues and recruitment consultants. You probably are not connected to people within your target market, and probably it's a bunch of contacts. A contact is you probably don't even actually know those people. And what you need to be doing is that you need to transform that from a set of contacts into a network that you're actively able to take with you and engage with, and actually turn maybe even into an audience. So let me give you an example. So this is Eric. This is from his LinkedIn profile. Eric works for me. He covers oil and gas. On the left-hand side, NCR, for example, he's not connected to anybody in that organization. So the likelihood he's going to sell into that organization is 0. Whereas Wood Group, which is in his target market, he's actually now connected to, I know he's now connected to over 1,000 people. He's connected to the whole of the C-suite in the UK, and he's connected to the whole of the C-suite in the US. Now, he's not done that by going to them and basically connecting to them and pitching to them, pitching to them in some way or saying, I'm your salesperson. He's connected to them because, well, one of the things that we do is that we teach people how to get conversations on social media, because we know conversations drive sales. And after all, it's social media. This is a platform for generating conversations. The next thing you need to do is actually spread your influence. So here are 2 posts which are very, very similar. Here is Sydney, but her network is actually very, very small. It's only 86 people. Whereas Leanne on the right-hand side, she has over 9,000 people in her network. But what you'll see is that there's a complete difference in the type of interaction we get. Now, there's a lot of people who will say that likes and comments are vanity. Anybody who says that, they don't know what they're talking about in terms of social media. And I'll show you that in a moment. The thing is, on LinkedIn, you need as wide and as varied a network as you can get. And the reason for that is that LinkedIn search works differently from Google search. Google search goes out and finds the answer to your question, the thing that it thinks, the piece of content that it thinks answers your question. Whereas on LinkedIn, what LinkedIn does is it answers the question in relation to you and your network. So if I put a question in and you put a question in, we'll get the different answers because we've got different networks. And what you need to do is to be connected to as many people as you can, not by going to them and pitching to them, but going to them and having conversations with them. So this is another way that you can spread your influence within social media. All of these posts here are not from my network. They're all from my network's network. So if you go to LinkedIn and you scroll on your phone, what you'll see is bits of content from your network. You will also see content from your network's network, because what LinkedIn is trying to do is get you to say, oh, Brian Schulman, he looks interesting, I'll connect with him. What it is that whenever anybody likes or comments on a post, it goes through their network. So this is what you're able to do is take your influence and actually spread that out over social media. So for example, let's show that. So traditional marketing is what you do is you create a piece of content, very bland content, which you try and appease to as many people as you can. Whereas what we're doing is that we're actually setting people up as micro-influencers. what they're doing is that they're presenting themselves as being interesting leaders, people that can help their customers, people that people will walk towards. But also what they're doing is that they're spreading their influence through social. So they're spreading their influence through their network and their network's network. So they're able to reach more and more people. Don't need to go into it, but the more, as your network increases, it increases exponentially. So I just got to let this person in. So it's a fundamentally different way of selling and marketing. Of course, so now the importance of content. What we've done is that we've done some research to actually look at this this pyramid of content. Everything below the dotted red line, what we find is gets very little engagement, and engagement is important. I'm going to show you why. If you're sharing advertising, you're sharing brochures or campaign material, it will get very little. But people don't. You know that people don't like it because it will get very little response. And if people aren't liking things and they're not commenting, then people don't like it. So, piece of logic. And what we're doing is that as soon as you move above that line, what they're doing is that they're engaging with you, because what you're doing is that you're being social, and it is, after all, social media. And as I said, people come to be social. They don't come to read brochures and hear about how great you are. We know that already. And anyway, we don't care. Oh, hold on. And so this is an example. So this is Eric again. Eric used to be the MD at PipeTech. He was doing his corporate duty here, which is where he's sharing what PipeTech do. I don't know about you, but I'm not interested about getting my, I don't have any pipes, so I'm not even interested in about how they're cleaned. See, this gets very little engagement. And if you go onto social media, you'll find that people putting out brochures and stuff about their company and how great they are, it gets little engagement because nobody cares. You may get some engagement from people internally, but as I said, most people are working within an echo chamber anyway. And I know that the two people that like this was the sales director of PipeTech and the marketing person who created it. Whereas in this case, what Eric has done is actually asked a question. And what we've done is that he's gone to his audience and he's actually asked the question of that audience. And what you'll see is the amount of engagement for that has gone up. And next is a post that Eric put out. This is his son, Austin. It's his birthday. It's his 16th birthday. And he had a COVID birthday like many of us. And he wanted to be out with his mates getting drunk, but in fact, he had to go with his boring dad, go to the seaside. And Eric put this out, and this got 165 comments, 165 likes, 37 comments, and 18,000 views, which is really good for a piece of content. And you would have seen stuff like this on social media and on LinkedIn. The difference is that Eric is using this as a way of generating business. So behind this is our methodology that we use to basically harvest this for business. So off the back of this, he got, I think I can't quite see it. Is it 84 leads? Anyway, he got 6 C-level meetings, 2 proposals and 1 purchase order. And it took him 10 minutes to do. Now, there's not one single demand gen activity that you can do, cold calling, email marketing, advertising, that can get you 6 C-level meetings and 1 purchase order in 10 minutes. This is the fundamental change that social media has made to sales and marketing, and it has changed sales and marketing completely. So let's look at an example. This is Sophie. She's actually just moved from Anaplan, but we'll take her from a role at Anaplan. She's got a network of about 1,600 people. So let's look how she works. So when she shares information about her company, it gets very little views. Where and here again, it's getting very few views and getting very little interaction. Again, here getting nothing much at all. When she shares something about her house, it goes to the roof, and she gets over 20,000 pieces of interaction. Now, don't forget that her network was it 1,600 people. So what she's doing, she's taking her influence and she's punching out from her from what is her network out into to beyond that. And what that's doing is it's allowing her to have conversations. Conversations create sales. And what happens is that whenever she posts something about her herself, and what that does is it creates interaction. Now, I'm not saying that you need to go out today and start posting pictures of you on the beach or posting pictures of Danish pastries, because if you start posting pictures of Danish pastries all the time, people just assume that all you do all day is eat Danish pastries, because we jump to conclusions. What we expect when you go to your LinkedIn profile is to see a whole set of different content. Come to my LinkedIn profile and you'll see that. You'll see written content, you'll see video, you'll see things about me. Today I went out and went to a place in just down near me to get some to a particular hardware store that I use. But the thing is that what we're doing is that you're seeing me as a person. You're jumping to a conclusion that, I mean, you may like me, you may not like me. If you don't like me, that's fine. You're never going to buy from me. So I've qualified you out. So I've actually saved a whole bunch of time. But what we do when we come to someone's LinkedIn profile is that we need to see what you stand for. And that what you stand for isn't necessarily your company or what you sell, but what the problem that you solve. Plus, of course, what we're doing is that you're going to see me as a human. Now, this is Sophie's profile views. You can see in September when she started working with us, and you see the impact that we had on that. But this is Anaplan. This is what a modern business looks like. They're approachable, they're interesting, they're type of people that you feel that you can do business with. It's not just about boring brochures and boring brochureware and boring white papers and boring this and boring that, because nobody's interested. It's interesting. Oh, I mean, your son's gone to the prom. Oh, wow, my son's just gone to the prom as well. Well, you've got a dog. Oh, I'd love to have a dog. I'd actually love to have a dog, but I don't like clearing up the mess after them. But what you're seeing, this is what a modern business, a modern business, digital business, a modern business that where the salespeople are used to having digital conversations and walking digital corridors, which you'll find that 99.999% of organizations don't understand right now. This is back to Cyberhawk. This is some of their content. That second post there on the left-hand side, the Phil Buckham post, which has had 13,000 likes, has had over 2 million views. And it's funny because he put that out between Christmas and New Year, where he said, oh, nobody's on social media between Christmas and New Year, and how wrong he was. But this is where they're using content as a way of showing their expertise, showing them professional content. But what it's doing, it's creating conversations. And I'm going to sound repetitive, but conversations create business. So this is what we do. We have a social selling program. It's 12 weeks. We can, the gray bit is our strategy sessions that we run for people, which is where we get the C-suite together to get them to understand and get them to walk through and get them to realize about the transformational power of social media. It's not a Twitter course or anything like that. It's to get them to understand the business process and the business change that will take place. And we also have a social selling program. It takes 12 weeks. And the reason why it takes 12 weeks is because what we're looking for is mindset change and habit change. This isn't about basically hints and tips or masterclasses. We're not in that business. What we're looking for are organizations that are looking to transform themselves. Any training course is about knowledge acquisition. How are you going to remember what you've done? Now, I've been on lots of masterclasses and hints and tip sessions, and I didn't remember anything, and I didn't do anything after it. And I talk to lots of organizations who employ that sort of thing, and I say, so what happened? And they say, well, nothing. So, well, it was a bit of a waste of money then, wasn't it? And they usually say, yeah, it was. So this is about transformation. What we're really pleased about is that the Institute of Sales Professionals, which is a global sales body, they've actually now taken this on as a qualification, and they're now positioning this as a qualification and they recommend it to anybody that's looking to get digital skills. Digital skills from a leadership perspective are really important for salespeople, because you'll retain the salespeople, you'll recruit the best salespeople, you'll get salespeople contributing faster. It's the whole benefit to the organization. Oops, wrong way. So typical outcomes. This is Telstra Purple. In terms of visibility, which is one of their measurements, we had that way back at the beginning. They got over 350,000 impressions, 6,500 engagements. So in effect, that's 6,500 opportunities to have a conversation. Conversations create sales. 126 posts from sales, for anybody who thinks that their salespeople won't create content. In fact, they love doing it. The technical team, we actually helped train the technical team. They went from 0 to 50 unique articles. They were able to get £4 million, so multiply that by 1.3, so it's at about $5.56 million US dollars a pipeline. They were able to get and recruit people, and actually people felt more engaged, so that was good as well. But also what happened was that they found that when they actually did discovery calls, they found that the conversion of those discovery calls increased. So for example, you can imagine if you've got a discovery call with a C-suite person or even a middle rank and file person, that person is going to come and look at your LinkedIn profile. They're going to check you out. They're going to jump to conclusions. They're going to see who you're connected to. So your profile has to be good, has to be user-centric. They're going to see who you're connected to, and you therefore need to have a great network. And they're going to check out your content and see whether you're worth talking to. They may even check you all out and say, no, you're not worth talking to, and cancel the meeting. Or may actually go, this will be really interesting. And so I actually found that for C-suite meetings, there was a 42% increase in the conversion of those. Now, there was only a 11% increase for rank and file, but still 11% is 11%. But overall, there was a 25% increase in the conversion of those discovery calls, which we thought was pretty good. So what are the challenges that you will face? So for example, time, there's people sitting there saying that I don't have time for this. Okay, well, yeah, I totally understand that. I'm just showing you how to create pipeline and win business. If you don't want pipeline and you don't want to win business, don't find time for it. It's as simple as that. There's always stress, learning, and difficulty whenever you learn anything new. You know, if you go to the gym or you decide to do something different. So 18 months ago, I decided I was going to start running 5 kilometers every week. When I first started, it was difficult because I had to get up early. And I didn't really want to run 5 kilometers because it means putting myself through my body through a amount of stress. Now, when I do it 18 months later, when I wake up on Monday, I have to go running. It's part of my day. And what you're doing, and what we do, is that the point of putting the program over 12 weeks is that we get you to go through, unlearn the things that are not helping you, and actually learn the things that will give you the habit change and the mindset change. You also have to take personal responsibility for yourself. You have to take responsibility for your profile. You have to take responsibility for growing your network. You have to take responsibility for content. I have to take responsibility to get up and go running 3 times a week. It's just a change of the way that you work. And that's about creating a habit and then maintaining those behaviors. What your customers want and what the LinkedIn algorithm wants is for you to be consistent. They want you to turn up, they want you to create insight and be entertaining, and they want that consistently. We actually put out, everybody within us, within DLA Ignite, puts out a piece of content every single day. Come and check out all the people on DLA Ignite, or you can come to my profile. If you click on my company and pick all the different people, you'll see the different types of content that's putting out. We're doing that because that's how we prospect. We're a social selling company. We're doing that. I'm here because of my activity on social. So final things, because I know it's just a little bit over time, is that this is simple but not easy. And what you'll find is that I've told you a whole bunch of things, and now you know those things, which is great. But knowing things and doing things are two different things. And what needs to happen from today is for you to actually make the change. You need to be the best person that you can be, and you need to be making the change in yourself and making the change within your organization. And what I've tried to do today is show you and give you insight into the way that the world works. We've been running as a business for 7 years. This is not new. I'm not showing you something that's going to happen next week. I'm showing you something that happened 7 years ago. And what you need to do is you need to get on be the person that gets on the train, because actually the train's already left the station and the buyers are already making decisions and already working with organizations that are people that are doing this. Are there any questions?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah. If you have any question, raise your hand. And if you have a noise in your background, you kindly try to put it off, mute yourself so that it will be clear, also to help the recording. Thank you. So we just click on the link of hand raising and we'll call you.
If there's no questions, I'm just going to finish with a joke.
Yes, so you can move on.
I'm just going to finish with a joke before we finish up, because we're at time. So there's two explorers hacking through the jungle. And they're hacking through the jungle and they come across a tiger. And the tiger sees the two explorers. And the first explorer stands there and the second explorer takes off his rucksack and puts on his running shoes. The first explorer says, "You can't outrun a tiger." And the second explorer says, "I don't have to, I just have to outrun you." And this is a great metaphor for social media right now. 99.9999% of people on social media, the companies on social media, are shit. I can assure you of that. Your job today is to be that little bit better. This isn't about being Kim Kardashian or being an influencer. It's about you and your business being your best selves. And you just need to make that little bit difference and you can get a massive, big change in a competitive advantage. So all I wanted to say is thank you for your time today. Hope that's been really interesting. If there's any other questions, please come to my LinkedIn profile and ask me. Please, if you send me a connection request, please say that you saw me on the, please say where you saw me and the fact that you saw me on this podcast and you'd like to connect, because I get a lot of people connecting to me and it's very difficult to understand who's who, because some people just connecting to me and going to bitch to me. So if you want to connect, if you want to ask any questions, please do. More than happy to do that. It's been great talking to you guys. I hope you found it really useful and interesting. And I say, if there's anything that I can do to help answer any more questions after this, please contact.
Wow,
was that useful for you?
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate your we couldn't approach a client or a connection by telling to them directly. You have a conversation with them, establish a relationship with them, a network, then to try to educate. It's really nice to have you today, and we appreciate it. And we are hoping that next time we get you on board to assist us all the time.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody, and thank you for taking the time for tuning in. I'll stop the recording.